Hello there. This is not the video I thought I was going to be putting out today. Atomic Mass Games has dropped a pretty big bomb on us today, I dare say. And I am joined by the one, the only Will from House Party Protocol. How's it going, man?
Hello. It's a day. I go to the gym this morning and literally I'm about to start pushing some heavy weights, like eights, and boom, bomb drops. And I just kind of let the gym flow take over for a little bit. And now here we are with the hot takes.
And here we are with some hot, but admittedly quick takes. So, yeah, we're going to very quickly summarize what Atomic Mass Games has dropped on us today, why it's a bigger change than I think either of us thought, at least, was coming, because we knew some changes were coming. We didn't necessarily expect this, though. But my name is Nate, and welcome to the Gamers
Yeah.
Guild. All right, without further ado, we're going good and just move over to the internet where all of these new things are. So, the thing that I think we were expecting is they have released what Timeline events are, specifically in kind of the form of challenger events, which is them basically saying, hey, we have a standard format that we want you to follow with the standard timeline, and challenger events are kind of them bringing in Marvel Crisis Protocol and how they want tournaments or events to be run that aren't just their organized play kits.
Yeah.
That all sound pretty much right there.
Yeah. And I mean, it's one of these things where it's it's just a way for them to kind of keep things, I think, organized on their end while also encouraging people to buy more stuff. If I'm being honest, like,
Maybe a little bit of that as well. The big thing is why they printed the new card pack the way they did with so many reprints is basically for the standard timeline, all of your tactic cards and infinity gems are expected to have either the X-Men symbol, Thor's hammer, or the city block set symbols. The crisis cards can still have any of the different set symbols, and so on. So that's kind of what the standard timeline is. But the challenger pack is full of cool things, and basically is a full rundown on, hey, if you are running a event or a tournament, this is a great packet. It's on AMG's website that walks down everything, how people are expected to handle things like missed opportunities down here, expectations of what players are supposed to provide, uh, all those kind of things, even down to, hey, like these are ways that you can run events, like it was Swiss pairings as opposed to maybe some of the other options out there, uh, how to score points, the number of rounds, determining tiebreakers, all those kind of things are in this packet, which is really nice. Did you
absolutely.
have you got to look over this before after your gym workout?
No, I have not. This is very much the first time I'm seeing this particular thing. But I will say, this is definitely not an uncommon thing within the gaming community. I mean, when I see here is just AMG finally acknowledging that there is a competitive MCP community.
Mm-hmm.
Because for the longest time, you know this, Nate, just as well as I do, that it's kind of been this is beer and pretzels game. And like, hey, we're gonna service the competitive community in little ways with banned and restricted lists, stuff like that. But this is them saying, if you're gonna play competitively, this is how you do it. And I like that because I know that you have been a big part of like a community packet and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
now we have an official document that the community can reference. And then additionally, like if a tournament organizer needs to add anything to it for whatever reason, they can, but here is an official document to reference.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting stuff in here that I'm kind of browsing over as you're talking and everything. And I'm excited to kind of see what springs up competitively from this. And got a little bit of a question for you when this is over in terms of a competitive event that you might be running very soon.
Yeah, NashCon is giving me a headache right now. But yeah, so it has everything from like, hey, event organizers should have a watcher or a judge, basically. And then if you're running a bigger event, you should have head watchers, which is basically a head judge that rulings can be moved up to and all that kind of stuff. So AMG have done really well with this packet. There is another packet that I helped basically proofread. I didn't add too much to it. That basically just breaks down things even more if you need it. But I think for your just kind of casual event or even semi-competitive event that you host on a Saturday and do like a 4 or 5 round event, this is going to be all you need for something like that.
Yeah.
But then down here at the end, again, timeline standard, all characters are legal, which I think is a big thing. I know previously they said that there was a possibility that characters were not going to be legal, but no, that would be a real feel bad after assembling and painting. It's not just like a purchase that is invalidated. It's hours of your own hobby time that gets invalidated. So I'm very glad that that is not the case. And then what we've already talked about, crisis cards, all set symbols are good. Tactic cards, all good. And with the reprint, all Infinity Gems are good. And then there is Timeline Extended, which also might be interchangeable with the word Unlimited. I'm not really sure at this point. But basically, everything is good there and in more ways than you might think.
No holds barred. That's the cage match of MCP right there.
And we'll just see how much of a cage match that is because, here is the new banned and restricted list. And Standard has some new additions. We'll hit those in a second. Give me your gut reaction to Timeline Extended, no restricted cards, no banned cards.
If I had anything in my gut, I would empty it as my gut reaction. It's very much a look. Don't get me wrong. I think that there's a place for this. Okay. I think that if you're just going into it and being like, we're just going to goof off, have some fun, throw a Timeline Extended thing in there, that means things like Drop Off are back in action. And let's be fair here. Drop Off was a fun card. It's a fun thing to play. Iron Muscle, not so much, but
Iron Muscle, no less, with Panic Grip City.
Right. So like there are some negative play experiences encompassed in this right here. However, I do feel like that it's like, for the people that want to just play with their friends, roll dice, have fun. Now, I'll tell you this right now, Nate, I will not be attending an extended event. If I see extended on the thing, I'm not going because, or if I'm going with the caveat of like this, I don't want to be ranked. If we're playing on Longshanks, I don't want to play ranked because, and that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into another time. Like I'm going to be doing a House Party Protocol podcast episode about all this where we can dive deeper into this for next week. But my gut reaction to the extended thing is just, I don't want to play in a competitive event with that. But if it's like meant to be casual, we're all having a good time. Sure. You know what I mean? Because I want to bring Cable and drop him off and just see what really broken way this is.
What you can get up to, for sure.
Yeah.
In my gut is very similar. It just kind of emptied. I was kind of like, where is our old banned and restricted list, which is what I expected the extended or unlimited to become. And this is the banned and restricted document on Atomic Mass Games website. And that list no longer exists, which makes me sad. And we'll hit that again in the recap here in a second. The other big thing is Timeline Standard, which is something really excited. Possibilities have been wide open all of a sudden. Some affiliations got subtle nerfs, some affiliations got subtle buffs, some characters got a nice little buff. Yeah, I like my Nerf hammer. Oh man, I should have brought my Nerf hammer. I actually have, like, from Thor 2, one of the Nerf brand hammers.
Just get your Thanos model out and just bonk it on the head.
And that is because, if you are reading this, Infinity Gem Reality and Space are both gone to restricted, along with Advanced R&D, Disarm, Indomitable, and Sacrifice. Things that are staying on the restricted list are Brace for Impact and Patch Up. And a new card has been banned. I understand why. I kind of hate it, especially because AMG have not been pushing out as many Crisis cards recently. And that is oh my goodness, Mystic Wakandan Herbs, Fact or Fiction.
Yeah. So I want to take over for just a second here and mention the fact that we are now down 2 extract crises, which means that those extracts are going to be that much more important in each game, I think. And we're also going to be seeing a lot of overlap in the extract game yet again. Like we were already seeing it, but Herbs has kind of had this resurgence with Shield and Nick Fury and those shenanigans and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're in a place where the overlap that you're going to see is going to be kind of significant.
Yeah, for sure. And again, it's one of those things that I understand it, and it's only a couple of tactic cards that I think would just need slight word changes, and suddenly Herbs is not a problem in the way that it currently can be a negative play experience. You playing that into a new player, they don't know what to expect, kind of a thing. But effectively, Mystic Wakandan Herbs is not the only banned card. With the rotation of standard cards, we have the new banned and restricted list, but also all of the cards here are only printed with the Spider-Man set, with the exception of Grievous Wounds. I'm not sure why that made it onto this list, but it has all of the rest of them correct. And these are cards that can either be seen as problematic when building new characters, maybe, or something else. Because, like, I can see Climbing Gear and Extreme Conditioning being problematic cards when you're trying to balance out a character by making them slow moving anyway. Magneto, cough, cough. Then other powerhouse cards like Med Pack, Field Dressing, Blind Obsession, Bitter Rivals are also out of the format. There's some weird ones. Web Barrier, Seeing Red, No Escape, Reversal, kind of some ones that I didn't necessarily expect to see on this list.
Yeah, same. I'm with you. Like Climbing Gear, I'm really glad it's gone specifically. Like it's a card that I used for a long time, especially with Gwen, because I had, Gwen does Climbing Gear, then she attacks, then she moves, then she attacks again and gets all this extra dice. It was like, and then moves again. Like it was a whole thing. I loved it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it's gone, but more so because of the Magneto part of it. Like I hated Magneto just using Climbing Gear. It sucked. But to your point, things like Web Barrier, I don't quite get that. Battle Lust. I mean, I know somewhere out there a David Kirby is crying.
I've already talked to him about it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those cards. Like, I think that a lot of the things on here that we kind of look at as like, why are they banning this or removing it, if you will, is simply because some things got to go. It's just housekeeping, I think is the way I look at it. Cause like Seeing Red is a card that I feel like in this, whatever new standard environment we're going to be in, could have been a really good card. It could have been more in the limelight a little bit. And the thing about all of this, it also doesn't mean that they won't come back in another card pack.
Yep.
We have a card pack right now. And I think just, reading the tea leaves here is that there's going to be another card pack in 2023 and so on and so forth. Another
card pack. And really going back to this, right now, we only have 2 timelines, the extended and the standard. It would not surprise me if we have other branches of other timelines that are either more thematic based or something like that, especially since we have a whole like World War II themed wave coming out here in a few months. So all sorts of options and ways that AMG can continue to expand on this. So real quick, with these new restricted and banned cards, do you see any subtle nerfs or buffs to affiliations across the board real quick?
Yeah, I think the obvious one here is Black Order. That's the boom, hit them with the hammer. And what's interesting is I think it's a nerf to them in a lot of ways. And
Hmm.
and it's not necessarily as obvious in some of those ways, right? But reality and space. So Corvus reality and Thanos space and mind.
Hmm.
That's your two restricted slots right there. No
Yep.
brace for impact,
No
no
patch
advanced
up,
R&D,
no
no patch up.
indomitable, no sacrifice. All
Right.
big
So
things that you typically would probably want if you don't have med pack. You want patch up. You probably want it to
exactly.
keep brace. You want sacrifice to have Proxima get thrown under the bus instead of Corvus.
Exactly. So it's that's definitely like the glaring thing, but also in terms of maybe not an affiliation, but a character in general, is just the Thanos splash that we've seen be so
Hmm.
popular over the last 3 months or so, 6 months or so.
Yep.
It's way less likely now because okay, you splash Thanos with the space gem, which is kind of like the typical. I don't want to say the only Thanos splash, but the typical Thanos splash was like space mind into whatever, right? Or reality and something
Reality
into
space,
whatever.
reality mind. At least
Right.
one of these two gems that is now on the restricted list was what he was being splashed with.
Right. So if you now are taking up a spot, restricted spot, again, it's what is the opportunity cost? And Thanos is a great model. He is when he's kitted out, he's Mr. Thanos, mind reality or whatever, whatever version,
Hmm.
it's really strong. It's really good, but is it so good that an advanced R&D isn't better? Is it so good that stopping Brotherhood from throwing everything at you with at least once with brace for impact? You know what I mean? Like that's the question I have to ask myself. And as someone who didn't really splash Thanos in the first place, but saw a lot of it, I'm
Hmm.
I'm glad that might not be a thing anymore. you know?
Absolutely. I think that's the most obvious one. I think the subtle buff that isn't as like picked up on as first thing is to our more durable characters and to our characters that have healing applications. So your Hoods, your Doctor Strange, even Wong, but then all
Oh
of your
yeah.
yeah, all your characters that can bodyguard and live through that bodyguard, like Captain America, Colossus, maybe to an extent, but even just like Luke Cage and really just the more generically durable characters. Because field dressing is gone. You can't just run a list full of wimps and still get an activation out of one of them.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who's been playing Convocation for a while now, and having field dressing was kind of a critical thing for me in terms because I have to. It's just the way they play. I'm not going to get
Mm-hmm.
into it, but it was a very important part of my list, and so was Indomitable. So is Brace for Impact. So now that I don't have field dressing, I have to decide what I'm going to take out of this list. And I mean, it's probably going to be Brace and Indomitable, but I don't know. But not having any
Can you run
healing
with
other than
no
Wong,
healing? Yeah,
well,
I
as I
guess you've
say,
got Wong.
got Wong, and then it's like, okay, well, I had Hood in and out of my list. Well, Hood's probably back in now.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it, I'll say this. I'll say this, Nate. If you're a brand new or pretty new player to MCP, now could not be a better time to get in, honestly. Like
If you understand all of the new changes and the things that you can't play and can play and stuff, yes.
that's
I
what I
think
mean.
there's
Like,
yeah, there's a little bit of an entry point barrier right now just because there's you do need to find the right documents to make sure you're current, which is a little bit of a downside. But to what you're saying, it makes the game a really healthy place to come in and explore right now.
that's it. And especially if you're getting into the competitive scene and you're wanting to kind of like make that
Hmm.
next leap into that, well, we're in the Wild West again. We've been here once before and we're here again now. And while the dust is settling, you can kind of carve out a niche for yourself. And I think that's really exciting.
Yep. All right, man. I know we are on a timer today, so I'm going to go ahead and just move to our last question, our last thing, which is really just the theme of this video: the good, the new, and the bad. The new is well, we have a lot of new stuff on our hands and to explore. What out of these changes is the good for you?
The good for me is the lack of Thanos splash everywhere. Like I think that that's at least if, again, that's how I would read the new ban and restricted list. I think that's the good. And then additionally, I have two goods. I'm going to take two goods.
Do it.
Is the acknowledgement from the company that a competitive scene exists and that this game has a healthy competitive scene and being able to have a document, because that's one of the things that we've talked about kind of personally and I've seen in the community of like, can AMG just please accept that there is a competitive aspect to this game publicly? I guess you could say, like, because I mean it was always there, but it wasn't like
it's always there, but they always were like, hey, do event OP kits and stuff. They didn't really acknowledge a tournament scene and stuff like that.
Exactly. So I think that those two things specifically for me are the really good.
For me, the good is the format as a whole is wide open again. It is the Wild Wild West again, where new things are going to be tried out left and right. I love giant shakeups. This is not one I was necessarily expecting to be forced into, because I think we are a little bit. But as a whole, I'm really excited. I see it as an absolute win for just kind of the game as a whole, the new entry point for new players and all that kind of stuff. What is the ugly out of this for you, though?
Extended.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, I get it. Okay. Like, I don't want to say I don't understand it. Like, I understand what they're doing. It's like, play with your toys. I think extended is meant to be like the version of the game that they've always talked about, right? Like, just have fun, put whatever you want on the table, and it doesn't matter, right? But you're presenting it like it's meant to be an organized play type of thing, when I don't feel like that you've given the right tools to make it an enjoyable organized event. Because again, if someone new to the game, newer to the game, sees an event and they see extended on there, they might not know what that means. They might go look at it. They might say, oh, cool. Well, I've got the core box plus this set of models. I'm going to go have a good time or whatever. And then someone drops a drop off, someone drops a hired muscle play on them and they just don't get to interact with the game at all. And it's like, I mean, that could really sour someone on the game. So I think that it's kind of AMG saying, well, play standard, guys.
Yeah, I think we are getting shoved in that direction. I'm with you. I think the big fail from this is the lack of any sort of ban and restricted list for the extended format. Even if it was just the same ban and restricted list we had yesterday, or I guess for those watching this down the line on June 23rd, when this update hadn't come out yet. Where we have the one Panic Grips banned. We've got restricted for Bitter Rivals, Med Pack, Field Dressing, and all those kind of things, where there's still a balanced game, but still also able to play all these other cards and stuff in a balanced way. And again, now we have like an additional, effectively 15 or so cards added to the ban list, which is just kind of a feel bad.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that is all we have today. These are the updates. This is the good, the new, and the ugly. Thank you all for watching. And I guess before anything else, get in the comments. Let me know what you think of the new format, these changes, all that kind of stuff. I am interested. And as well, a comment and a subscription to the channel gets you entered for a MCP expansion of your choice, as long as it's not one of those big Ultimate Encounter ones, thanks to one of the guild sponsors, Tritex Games. So, but thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep on gaming.